Alright, so I did my video on debating who the best heavyweight in the world is after UFC 309. But one of the biggest stories to come from UFC 309 was Donald Trump's entrance, and it was legendary, dude. Like, the names around him, Kid Rock, generational talent when it comes to music. You can say what you want about him. Elon Musk, probably the biggest innovator of our lifetime. RFK, you know what he wants to do with the FDA and all of these, poisons basically they're putting into foods and that they have for a long time. But that's one thing. But like, I'll pose this question to you before we get into it. Can you name any Democratic politician who can go into any venue like that and get the pop that this man got? Need I remind you, this is New York, Madison Square Garden, the same state that charged him of 39 felonies, however many, you know, the same the same city that went after him and his businesses. Like, Donald Trump, they essentially made him a martyr of the right. And I think the left, the Democrats, the liberals, whatever you want to call it, they really do not understand the the magnitude this guy brings, the energy he brings to your crowd. You can go look at any interview he does. Better than any politician, he relates to people. When Theo Vaughn was talking about his issues with addiction, which we all know Donald Trump has never smoked, has never drank, which, by the way, if you're going to take any advice that Donald Trump takes, that's probably the best advice you can take from him. Whether you love him or hate him, drinking and smoking, you don't get anything good out of it. You really don't. But back to like the the entrance and like I said, the energy when this guy got there. When he made it to the commentary table and he greeted Joe Rogan, he greeted DC, he greeted John Anik, he greeted everybody there, and that's something you will never see from Joe Biden. You're never gonna see that from Kamala Harris. You will never see it from any, establishment politician to be able to go a into a community like the MMA community, which, again, we all know he was crucial to the UFC getting mainstream, getting off the ground and out of the millions of dollars of debt. So that's why, if you're confused, right, a lot of MMA fighters, a lot of MMA fans love this guy, is that without this man, without Taj Mahal, without Affliction, without any of the without any of the things he's done for this sport would not be mainstream. I would not have a YouTube channel where I talk about fights for fun, whether it gets monetized or not. Like Trump, Dana, Lorenzo, all of them are huge parts of this. And, you know, for nearly a decade now, they've called this man every name you can call him. They've gone after him any way you can think of. And it hasn't worked. He shined through it. And I'm not saying he's completely innocent of thing, but it becomes the boy who cried wolf. And when you have one side saying he's a demon, and the other side, he comes to the events that we like. He actually talks about the fights too. Like, Donald Trump is a true fight fan. That's what amazes me, is that he's not just this rich guy that sees that MMA is mainstream, and that he was there at the early events. And Dana White even said he's like me and you. I'm assuming if you're watching this channel, you watch from the early prelims all the way to the main card. Donald Trump does that too. Every card he goes to, he tries to get there before the prelims, which for somebody who is a former president going to be the current president coming January, barring anything happening to him, it's cool to see somebody who is the leader of a country, like I said, coming to a social event like MMA. MMA, even though it has gotten more mainstream, and the MMA fan base is one of the most devoted sports fan bases ever. Not everybody watches every hockey game their favorite NHL team plays. Not everybody watches every NBA game their favorite team plays. But when it comes to fighting, there are guys I've watched, even growing up, I've watched every single fight they've they've done. Whether I watched it live, whether I went back on Fight Pass, whether I, scrounged the entire internet for a way to, definitely stream it legally. You know, I and many other fans are devoted to this sport. And Trump is definitely devoted to it as much as he can. And the fact that when he gets in, we can have guys like Kamzat coming back into the States. Maybe not, probably not in Canada, unless Pierre gets in. But, like, I can't iterate enough. Like, there's a clear difference between Trump and any politician and the reaction he gets. And, you know, I, I, I don't know how I can say it without restating it over and over again. But, like, you need leaders that can relate to its citizens, that can show that they have similar interests in that. And Donald Trump does that really well. Like, even during, like, any podcast he does, whether it's a Joe Rogan podcast or whether it was Now Place or any of these podcasts, like, it's not like you're watching an interview with a former president. It's like you're watching this dude sit down and just bullshit for, a few hours. Some politics, some life, some sports. Like, it's, I don't know. It's so weird. We can get into everything about, this year, the years leading up, the near decade. This man has been in the headlines for everything negative since he ran. It's, you know, I feel like we're moving into a new era of not only, politics, but culture. And culture is the number one thing you need to look. If you take away anything from this video, is beyond your political beliefs, beyond your faith, beyond everything, it's culture. Your culture is what matters. American culture, state culture, city culture. You have multiple kind of cultures that you yourself are a part of, whether you like it or not. And at a time where everybody has no faith in any of these systems, the entire system of governing, of politicians, nobody nobody agrees with it. Nobody believes it's fair. Nobody believes that these politicians are doing what's best for the country, and everyone believes that they're only trying to benefit their pockets and their donors' needs. But you know, it's different, man. When you can have a politician, well, like I keep saying, get that get a bigger pop than the headline fighters do. It's amazing. Like I don't know what else to say. But we'll have to see, obviously, come January, come the coming years, how this will all play out for, the president, for the UFC. I made my video on Hamza Chimaev. I do believe that Hamza will be able to fight in the States come January, but we'll have to see. Either way, though, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I don't want to ramble on too long. Let me know in the comments, what did you guys think about Donald Trump's walkout in UFC? If you watched it live, which I'm assuming most of you do, like this is an MMA channel. Uh, but yeah, let me know what you thought about that, and what do you see in store for the UFC in the next 4 years under another Trump administration. Let me know in the comments down below, and yeah, later.